and all that fun stuff. I wish we need Tim Donaghy on the show. I heard he's been on Bob's show before.
Oh, he has. I produced the latest show that he was on. It was like,
yeah, he's been on multiple times.
Oh yeah. Well,
What?
Well, a lot of times before Bob had joined, late night sports radio, but he already had the contact. I think he had him on from prison one time, to tell you the truth. Which totally fits.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, it totally fits Bob's MO. I don't know how he pulls that off, but.
See, and that's why Bob couldn't get him out for the show this week, because Bob's like, I ain't gonna be there. I'm not gonna leave him out to these schmoes. That's my guy, Tim Donaghy, right there. And that's funny. If for anybody that doesn't remember, Tim Donaghy was the NBA official that had gotten busted for gambling, which is kind of an issue when you're gambling on games. Did it ever come out that he actually gambled on games that he was a part of?
He did, absolutely.
Is he open about this? He's not like a jerk about it or anything like that. He's cool talk.
There's no. I don't think Bob actually got into any of that. It was more his opinion on current events and stuff like that. But if there's one guy that I don't need to hear, it's Tim Donaghy on whether or not these playoffs are fixed. Because I'm pretty sure that Donaghy did all that without being directed by the NBA head office. So you were part of the problem. So don't try to keep yourself relevant by.
He's got a little Jerry Seinfeld in him when you look at the man.
Why? What do you mean by that?
He's got Jerry Seinfeld face. They got the same eyes. They got a similar shaped nose. Looking at that's Jerry Seinfeld right there, my man. I'm telling you.
I don't see that at all.
Long lost brother.
I don't see that at all. At all.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, maybe I got to send you the picture that I'm looking at. We'll do that, but all in all, man, I mean, kind of looking at what the Mets have been doing to switch it over here to baseball. Before we get into it, we're going to be looking at the West Coast in a minute with Joshua Greenberg. But you see the Mets now and kind of with some of the injuries stacking up and everything like that. I mean, do you expect them to go outside the organization? Are they really going to acquire somebody that's going to make a difference? You know what I mean? In terms with, you're looking at David Wright. He's going to be gone for a significant amount of time now. And, the offense wasn't really totally clicking to begin with. And now you lose him, and it's like, all right, well, now where do we go? They lost Lucas Duda as well. So, I mean, that's another thing that, picking up, James Lonely. I don't think that's really your solution there. But no. But overall, man, I mean, you got to add somebody. It says who's out there for you to get.
You know what? I don't really know, because I don't really think that anybody would give up anybody to the Mets now without ramping up that asking price.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you think about it, the Mets just gave back-to-back seasons 2 prospects, I think, for Kelly Johnson, 1 each year. So how many players are we going to give Atlanta for Kelly freaking Johnson? But anyway, if there was a better deal out there, I think they would have pulled the trigger already. Instead of going the Kelly Johnson route, the familiar way. I say you ride out Wilmer Flores. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't be jumping through hoops.
Right. No, I'm with you on that. I mean, that guy's again been there for a while. You know what I mean? Flores, he seems pretty comfortable. But I mean, when I'm looking at some of the guys that are available, I mean, I'm sure Matt Kemp is going to be available for a bargain price, and somehow you can pick up a guy, you can package him with Derek Norris. You know what I mean? San Diego's are going to dump people, and that'd be a perfect fit.
But what are you really going to get? You have to ask yourself, if you're the Mets, are you going to get somebody that can plug and play and electrify that lineup? Yoenis Cespedes, what he did last year by coming over and adding that fire. It's really lightning in a bottle, because you look at all the times that the Mets have been buyers in either free agency or at the trade deadline, and it hasn't worked out at all.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if so much you need to go out and make a move. I think you ride your farm system out and take your chances.
Yeah. I mean, you could do that. I just don't know if you can really ride on that and count on that. I mean, the one good thing, another team, there are a lot of teams that are selling, in particular when it comes down to the National League. You look at Milwaukee, for instance. You got a guy like Ryan Braun there, and including, not only Braun, is Jonathan Lucroy. That's a guy that's been, rumored to move for several years. And I mean, after having the thumb injuries for a while, his slash line was 327, 393, and 505 not too long ago. Just like I said, a few physical injuries, but overall, I mean, relatively cheap. You know what I mean? It looks like $4 million this year, 5.25 next year. So I mean, you got him for a little while. The guy's able to hit. I mean, that's been the biggest thing with him. Is he's a great defender, but really good with his stick. You know what I mean? Once his thumb is back on track, and it seems like it is. And same thing with Braun. You know what I mean? Ryan Braun. He's going to come with a lot of drama.
I do not want Ryan Braun.
You do not want Ryan Braun?
Not in any stretch of the imagination.
Why?
Because he's a Reuter.
Yeah, but I mean, here, listen. The guy's slaughter. That's another guy. Slash line 367, 430, 615, 7 homers. It seems like Milwaukee's probably going to have a higher price tag on him, just knowing that they're going to want to keep him to build around, or that's what they're going to tell people. But overall, when you're really looking at it, I do believe so. But yeah, no, I mean, he's one of those guys where he's going to be able to make a difference for your ball club right away. And let's just go to our guy Joshua Greenberg. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, many apologies for the loud show tonight. I got crazy music in the background, people everywhere. We're over at the Ashbury Coffee House in Springs. So, how's your night going?
It's going well. I'm just watching the Warriors try not to embarrass themselves.
Yeah. Are you surprised? Are you a big basketball guy? I know you're the department head over there at Last Word on Sports for baseball, but how about your basketball? You just kind of watch it a little bit?
I'm not a big basketball fan, but I've been watching the playoffs.
Yeah, and we were talking about that a little bit earlier, but man, this has been a rough go. At least in terms for them. I don't know. It was just crazy with the back and forth and whatever, but I know we can find you here at Last Word Jayberg, and that's going to be on Twitter. And you wrote a pretty interesting article the other day that caught my eye. Talking about Carl Crawford being released from the Dodgers, and so you go through. And you see, the stellar all-star front office that Nate Friedman put together there, and since the Guggenheim Group took over, and it seems like they're more than willing to eat a bunch of money anytime that they need to, and bring in whatever assets they want, and bring in a bunch of talent, a lot of big names. But for whatever reason, it seems like things haven't quite panned out with them. They bring in Dave Roberts this year. I mean, to this point, I mean, how do you feel about the Dodgers and kind of the direction they've been heading with all the resources that they've had and to kind of just be I mean, they're close to the top of the league, in terms of the West there, but it just seems like they should be dominating with all the resources they have.
Yeah, I don't really know what's up with the Dodgers because you're right, they should be doing much better than they are. But the thing is, I like Dave Roberts. I was not really sure why they chose him to be manager. I mean, it's his first gig as a manager, and he was a good, smart player back in the day, and I'm sure that maybe one day he will be a good manager. But I don't know. Maybe if you're trying to win a championship, you go with him as your guy right away. And another thing, it's not just the free agents that they've brought in that sort of haven't been working out. It's their young guys too. I mean, Jock Peterson, I think he's going to be a great player one day, but he hasn't really lived up to early expectations as of yet. And Puig, too. He just keeps getting worse, and he just keeps becoming more and more of a headache. I don't know what goes on in the locker room, but I can't imagine it's any better than what we see on the field and, with his escapades in public. I think that those two are really detracting from what they can do as an offense right now. And I think that, going with Crawford, there were signs when he was with the Red Sox that he was already on decline, and then the Dodgers just decided to eat that whole contract. Like you said, they had the money and resources to do it, but it's not necessarily the smartest choice.
Yeah, and I guess they kind of had to in terms of being able to pick up a guy like Adrian Gonzalez. I mean, obviously he's panned out well. He's probably the only guy I would say. Yeah,
but the rest of that trade, you're right. The rest of that trade did not work out. Beckett was not ever really anything special with them. Punto obviously was a throwaway in that trade, and then Crawford, of course, he had maybe one or two decent seasons with the Dodgers, but now he was done. He was riddled with injuries, and he's gone now, of course.
Yeah. And so, I mean, did you like the fact that they got rid of Mattingly? Because I mean, Mattingly, it seems like maybe he's not doing super great out in Florida, but it just seemed like it was a bad mix in terms of he's always been one of those managers that's going to go for the younger guys. He's big on coaching and helping these guys grow as players. And the one thing that kind of bugged me when they got rid of him, I mean, I wasn't the biggest Mattingly guy, but knowing the all the talent that they do have in the minors, I mean, they were brimming with talent. It wasn't very long ago. They still have a pretty good farm league there, but you would expect still, if you're going to be trying to bring up guys and infuse them in with a major league lineup, you're going to want a guy like him around to kind of help them out. And I don't, like I said, I'm just not sure Dave Roberts is that guy, and I was kind of sad to see Mattingly go in that aspect.
Right. I think I kind of agree with that, and I'm not the biggest Mattingly guy either. I don't like a lot of the decisions he makes, especially with his starting pitchers sometimes. But I think that he's a good baseball guy. He's a very smart baseball guy, and you're right. He works well with young players. You look at the Marlins team that he's working with right now, and they're not anything great, but they're better than we thought they'd be, I think, and they're a very young team, and he's working very well with them right now.
Yeah, and so kind of moving on, you're looking at the bullpen situation, and the trade deadline's approaching, and that's one of the things where there's always going to be a bunch of middle relievers that are going to be available for you. But it seems like the biggest problem, Kenley Jensen, has been such just a train wreck this season. And, at least in terms of it was just going into the week, 7.71 ERA in 3 2016 games at AT&T Park. It's a team you want to play well against, and it's just not happening. I mean, what do you think Kenley Jensen's problem is, and are they going to be able to fix this bullpen?
Jensen's problem might be that he just doesn't have enough help around him, perhaps, or maybe he's just not really the right guy for the ninth inning situation. Some pitchers thrive in that situation, some pitchers don't. I mean, or maybe it's just some sort of undisclosed physical ailment, a mechanical issue he's facing. It could be any number of things, but I think that they will have to trade for somebody at some point. And you look at who's on the market right now. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good, man. That was we had a little feedback. Something was cutting in there. You're all good. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, you look at who's on the market right now, and strange rumors are that the Yankees are looking to shop Andrew Miller and Aroldis Chapman. The rumor is that the Cubs are going after them, and if the Cubs can do it, why can't the Dodgers? I mean, they certainly have the money. I don't know if they have the pieces to do it, but they have the money to acquire those two people for sure.
Oh yeah, no, that's without a doubt too. And I think that would honestly, I mean, it would be a good fit. Either one of those guys, knowing that they would be able to come to LA and you'd be able to rely on them in a situation like that. But it's like I said, it seems. Is there more than just the bullpen that's been issues? Because I mean, you look at the starting rotation. I feel like it's just not as strong as it has been with Greinke not being there. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, behind Kershaw, it's nothing special. And to be fair to them, they've had their share of injuries. I mean, they started out the season losing a couple of their starting pitchers. But I agree. I think that they need to sort of upgrade their starting rotation a little bit. But again, you look at the free agent market or the potential trade market, and it's pretty thin and bare right now. I mean, when you're talking about, maybe Rich Hill is one of the best guys available to acquire right now. I mean, Rich Hill's been pitching well this year, but that doesn't say anything great about what the market at the moment.
Yeah, no, and that's the truth too, and that kind of made me laugh, and that's why. When the White Sox went out there and kind of jumped on top of the whole trade market and picked up James Shields, I was like, all right, well, maybe this will help. I think it was a little bit too late because the way the White Sox have just been in a nosedive for the last several weeks here, and it's really frustrating myself. I'm a Sox guy, but we talk a lot of Chicago Cubs here on the radio station just because we got Mark Grody, we got their post-game and pre- and post-game show host. He comes on all the time, and fantastic, hilarious guy. But the thing here is that you look at all the damn talent they have coming up through the minor leagues, and so it's they just brought up another guy now. Wilson Contreras got his call up, and shortly before that they called up Albert Almora, and it seems like every one of these guys hits for them. And the White Sox they don't have that there in their farm system. and they go out and they're like, all right, well, here, let's just fix this real quick. Let's pick up James Shields. He'll straighten out the rotation. The guy's been absolutely brutal. And so, I mean, he was kind of the prize pig there when it came down to the starters in the trade market here. But now you're looking at Rich Hill. It's tough, And so, I mean, where do you think they go? I mean, Nate Friedman's got to do something here, right?
He's got to. I mean, if you're going for anyone right now, I think Hill is probably my favorite guy on the market at the moment. And I actually liked the Shields move at the time. I mean, obviously it hasn't worked out, but he was, aside from his last start in San Diego, he had been pitching pretty well. So if you're going to go out and pick up a guy who's available, I mean, Shields was not really a bad choice. In hindsight, of course it is, but at the time, I didn't think it was that bad a move.
Yeah, and I still think there's hope for him. You know what I mean? At least in terms of being able to turn around a little bit. But I honestly don't think he's this bad. But whatever the case, the White Sox are just in an awful position, especially losing Austin Jackson. Didn't bring necessarily much to the plate, but when it came down to him just being able to man center field and kind of let Adam Eaton just hold his ground, and not only does Eaton move back to center, but you have Avisail Garcia going to right field now. And honestly, no DH there either. I'm sorry to keep dragging on to the White Sox here, but man, that whole team has been extremely frustrating to watch this season. Where
you're right, and you're right that they don't. Oh, sorry.
No, I just said all the ebbs and flows with the season so far. I mean, it's pretty much it was high and then it just took a shit, and that's pretty much what I expected. The way I saw it, everyone's high, and I was like, no, ain't gonna last.
Yeah, I agreed with that. I was a little suspicious of their hot start from the beginning, and you're right, they don't really have any offensive talent on its way up from the minors at the moment, so they're kind of, unless they make a couple of deals, they're kind of stuck where they are with that. Yeah,
you got it. And again, we're talking to Joshua Greenberg at LastWordJberg. You can find him there on Twitter also, lastwordonsports.com. He's there as well. But moving over to the other team in out there in Los Angeles, looking at the Los Angeles Angels, good golly, it just hasn't been pretty. You know what I mean? It's been a long time since the World Series win. And the club has lost 7 of 9. Heading into the week here, it just seems like it's kind of slipping away from them. What direction do you think this team is going to go? Do you still see it kind of just taking a nosedive here, or do you think bringing in a guy like Tim Lincecum is going to change the fate of the Los Angeles Angels?
Well, I sort of doubt Tim Lincecum is going to be the game changer at this point in his career.
No kidding.
I've been surprised before, but when you lose a couple of guys like they did in their starting rotation, like Garrett Richards, and to elbow injuries, like almost at the exact same time, him and Heaney, I mean, that's a huge blow. It would be hard for any team to really overcome that. And I think that's been one of their major downfalls. They also haven't had much going in the offensive direction, aside from Trout and a couple other guys. But they're going to have to. And their farm system is brutal, too. It's not that much better than the White Sox, if it's even better at all. But aside from Trout and Calhoun and maybe Yunel Escobar, they don't really have much going on the offensive side of the ball. So if they're going to try to contend this season, I don't think they can do it. But if they want to, they have a lot of work to do. Yeah,
and I'm with you, too. And, there's been a lot of talk this year, whether it was during the offseason or kind of during the season, we heard quite a bit. There's no way Billy Epler is stupid enough to trade Mike Trout, right? I mean, that's the guy you build around. He's so young at this point. You got to stick with him, even though you can get a boatload for him. Don't you think?
I don't think you can trade Mike Trout. I mean, I know why it would make sense for them, because you could get a boatload, and their farm system, again, is kind of in shambles right now, so they could use a reload in that direction. But I think that you have to sort of stick it out with Trout, because he's your guy. He's the face of the franchise right now, and who else do they really have to build that team around, to rally fans around?
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know what I mean? And the biggest part about it is, I mean, the only way I would see it making sense is just because their farm system is so depleted. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so you got to try to find something to kind of give it a quick boost, but it just doesn't seem like getting rid of Trout would be the right idea, at least not in my mind.
Right. And they'd have to trade him to a team that has a really deep farm system, like, say, the Boston Red Sox. And the Red Sox would have to be willing to part with some of their top prospects, like Andrew Benintendi, Anderson Espinoza, some of those guys. But most of the teams that have those kind of players are not going to be willing to give them up, especially just for one guy like Trout. And they're only going to get Trout for a package of those guys because that's how much Trout's worth. But I don't think the teams that can give up that talent are going to be willing to give up that talent.
Yeah, and I mean, if this does go downhill, I mean, is Mike Scioscia going to still be safe heading into next season, just knowing that they went through all these different injuries and things that's kind of sucked, and they do have some money coming off the book in the next season or so here. So I mean, at least maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable about that. But I mean, how do you feel about Mike Scioscia? I was talking to Keith about this a minute ago about how I still play baseball, fast pitch, wood bat, but I'm a catcher. You know what I mean? The license plate says backstop. I'm a catcher since I was a short little fat kid when I showed up at baseball when I was a little tyke. And I'm big. I love managers that are former catchers because I feel like they just think the game a lot better. And for whatever reason, whether it dated back to the 2005 World Series, or not World Series matchup, but in the postseason that year where the White Sox faced the Angels, maybe something during that series kind of sparked me. But I have a hard time getting around and liking a guy like Mike Scioscia. Do you care for him much, and do you think it's time for him to go?
Yeah, I don't really care for him either. And like you, I'm not sure exactly what it is about him because I also like catchers as managers for the same reason. I think that they probably have the most complete knowledge of the game of any player on the field at any time. They're sort of like the field general. So I think that they generally make good catchers, good coaches. But for some reason, I just can't bring myself to like Mike Scioscia. But I do think that he's safe at least for this season. I think that he'll start next season as the head coach of the Angels. But if they don't get off to a good start, if maybe they're not heading in the right direction by the halfway point, he might be on his way out.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I figured too. And I'm in the same situation with Robin Ventura here. That's been such a frustrating thing watching this guy try to figure out how to manage at the major league level, not having had any minor league experience or experience as a manager. And that's something where I think if you're going to fire a guy like Mike Scioscia, you got to have an idea who the hell you're going to be bringing in next. I mean, Dave Roberts, obviously, that was a guy where at least he had some coaching experience. Didn't seem like that horrible of an idea, but I mean, we're seeing fewer and fewer retreads when it comes down to managers in the major leagues, and a lot of first-time managers and a lot of guys with very little to no experience, which kind of bugs me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, see, one of the guys that I think needs to find a job is Ron Gardenhire, the guy that was with Minnesota for all those years. I think he's a really smart manager. Kind of knows how to deal with the players, especially with a lot of young guys. And like I said, I like to see him pick up a gig at some point here. But kind of flipping it over here now and looking at a guy that's looking for a job, Jose Reyes, designated for assignment from Colorado. Do you see him? He seems like a perfect fit in a Kenny Williams acquisition with the Sox here, where he always goes and picks up all these guys that that he used to be. He tried to acquire back in the heyday, but just couldn't. You know what I mean? Couldn't pull the trigger for whatever reason. And then now he's available, and he's going to bring him in now that he's old and washed up and useless. And I mean, do you think Jose Reyes has anything left? And where's a potential landing spot for him?
I think he probably has a little bit left in the tank, and the White Sox could be a spot because, like we were talking about earlier, they need some offensive help. But the big rumor for him right now is the Royals are looking at him to play second base, which makes a lot of sense because Omar Infante, they just designated him for assignment. So if Reyes can fly over to second, he could be a good fit there. And that would actually be a good fit. And Reyes, he didn't hit poorly last season. He still hit 274. He had a 378 OPS. He had 24 steals. So he still, I think, would have something nice to give the Royals if they can fit him at second base. The thing is, do teams want him right now with all the stuff that's hanging around him, all the baggage he has right now? Do teams want him? And that's going to be the real deciding factor, I think.
Right, yeah, and it depends on what kind of market, too, you move into. I mean, Kansas City probably wouldn't be too bad for him. He's not going to catch too much media backlash in a city like that, but he goes to a major market. He's going to be hearing about it. I mean, it doesn't seem like Aroldis Chapman is really catching too much heat, you know what I mean? But, I don't think his situation involved the gun, which is why, the MLB threw the hammer there down on Reyes, but... We're going to lighten it up here a little bit right before we let you go. Again, we're talking to Joshua Greenberg. You can check him out at Last Word Jberg. Okay, and so you wrote an article that I thought was great. Madison Baumgartner was talking about how he wanted to enter the home run derby. Well, let's explain to everybody else why it would be a fantastic idea to allow pitchers like Jake Arrieta and Noah Syndergaard go out there and compete in the home run derby.
I think it's a good idea because, honestly, the most stale part of baseball right now, and the most stale part especially of the All-Star break, is the home run derby. I mean, I don't know anyone who actually really cares about it right now. And adding a pitcher to it, especially a pitcher like Bumgarner, who's a personality and who can actually hit, I mean, that would just add like a new level of intrigue, a new thing to get interested about and excited about watching. I think people would actually want to watch the home run derby this year if they added Arrieta, maybe Syndergaard, Bumgarner. But I really don't like their idea of creating an all-pitchers home run derby to go alongside the real home run derby because, first of all, I don't think that you can find enough pitchers who can hit well to make it an actual show instead of just a sideshow. Yeah. And also, I think that'll just add more time. If you have two separate contests instead of just adding a few players to the existing contest, you'll just make the event drag on longer than it has to.
Yeah, and I know they went through last year and kind of made some adjustments to it so where they can, shorten it up a little bit because it was too long. You know what I mean? And so if you're going to go out and create two different events, that ain't going to work. But I do like the idea of letting him. Him or Arrieta or Syndergaard or whoever else that can actually, swat it, to go up there. Just because a big topic of conversation on this show and also my co-host, he's not here tonight, but Bob, I've been on his show several times talking baseball, and one of the things we always kind of like played around and toyed around with was different ways to make the All-Star game, interesting. Whether the whole week of festivities, how to make it more interesting, whether it be a skills competition amongst, showing off your range, in the field, your arm, just a variety of different ideas. And I think this would be a good idea. You know what I mean? Like I said, adding a character to it, But so now you got any new articles coming up soon?
I don't personally. We just finished up our draft analysis. We had a bunch of draft profiles published prior to the MLB draft, and then we had a few reviews of the teams' drafts come out afterward. So we're sort of transitioning out of the draft phase now. We're going to have sort of an analysis on the Tigers and what they do after the J.D. Martinez injury coming up tomorrow. So look for that, I think. But aside from that, we don't really have many big stuff. We might have some All-Star Game content coming out too.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, I know. You guys also do a podcast, too? Do I got that right?
We do. We got a podcast that usually comes out every Wednesday. It's called Crowding the Plate. It's Wednesdays or Thursdays. It's always published. It's not anything live, so you can listen to it once it's published. But they do a really good job, our hosts do, Joe and Greg, and they're really great.
Well, good. It sounds like a couple guys. I'm going to give that show a listen there. You know what I mean? Get a couple more of your guys on the radio. Sounds like you know what the hell you're talking about, and I love guys that know what the hell they're talking about because they make me sound less stupid. So,
well, I'm glad I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
That's good. We love you to death, Josh. That was awesome. I really appreciate you coming on. And again, everybody can find you at Last Word. Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I guess we'll be talking to you shortly here. And this is the Johnnie Bobbo Show. We're going to let our guy Josh here go, and we'll be back here in just a moment on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Maybe I could offer up Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Welcome back to the Johnnie Bobbo Show on latenightsportsradio.com, and you should crack one open because it's time for Celebratory Forties with our guy, Cody Van Cura. How are you tonight, sir?
Doing pretty good, guys.
Oh, that's pretty good. And, you know, we're joking because we're within the same vicinity of each other. I would say we're probably maybe 100 yards away from each other at the moment. So that's within my restraining order, so that's a good thing at least. I tell funny jokes. I do jokes. That's funny. So let me ask you, buddy. We got Frank Zappa, okay? Apparently there's going to be, you know, 2 unreleased albums that are going to emerge from the vaults this upcoming July. So a little bit, a couple weeks away. What do you think about that? You big Frank Zappa guy?
I'm really excited for it. Dude was a huge innovator in music, but what I'm kind of worried about, like, he finally crafted all of his albums to be perfect and how he wanted them to sound. With these new ones coming out, what if it's just garbage he just never wanted released, and now people are like, it's been dead long enough, we need to use Zappa, and they're just going to, like, tarnish his legacy.
Yeah, I know, and like, the guy would, like, be rolling over in his grave to know that, like, this is stuff that I was hoping no one was going to find. And, like, who knows? I mean, at least there's still probably equipment out there that can still play some of this stuff. But, I mean, when you think about it, how bad would that piss you off if you created something and you're like, man, screw this, I don't want it. And then all of a sudden someone goes out there and puts it out there for everybody to have. You know what I mean?
No, I'd be so mad. I think that's why J.D. Salinger, who wrote Catcher in the Rye, in his will was like, don't release any of my unreleased stuff until 100 years after I'm dead.
Yeah, but
something like that.
Yeah, no, that would for sure. That would definitely piss me off. But something that's not gonna make me mad is the Gorillaz. Apparently, they're working on a new album due out in 2017. So we got a little while to wait for it. But you know, Jamie Hewlett, the band's co-founder, he says that it's really fucking special, to quote him. Is that something? Are you a big Gorillaz fan at all? I mean, I love a bunch of their stuff, and sometimes I guess maybe listening to their albums front to back, maybe the quality isn't quite all there through their first couple albums, but there was a lot of really good songs on there, and a lot of different vibes too. Man, he collaborates with so many different artists from so many different genres to where. You would think you would hear these two names put together and be like, oh, that ain't gonna work, and then somehow it actually does sound pretty damn good.
Right. I don't know, buddy. I know you're a huge Gorillaz fan. I have a real bad memory of them when I was young, and ever since then, I really have never listened to them again. Like, I've heard the hits, and like, I'm interested in hearing a little bit off the new album, but I can't do them.
Yeah, well, that's fine. What about the Chili Peppers? Anthony Kiedis, he says he writes old school style. So whatever the hell that means, I don't know. But they got two new songs coming out here off their new album. We've already heard at least one of their new singles. What's your whole take on the Chili Peppers? You know what I mean? Because I feel like they've been lacking in overall goodness. You know what I mean? Since the '90s, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't remember the last Chili Peppers album that came out that I genuinely liked all the way through. So if Anthony Kiedis is back to writing the way he used to and not just relying on California and that garbage, it'll be interesting to see the transition, especially with him being hospitalized and all that. If maybe he has like a near-death experience or anything, and just if the writing's going to change at all.
So let me ask you this: did it make you happy when Justin Bieber got his ass kicked about a week ago or so outside the NBA Finals game?
No, I hate that. Little Biebs is an angel, and he gets a lot of crap, but he's
he's a normal kid. He's just doing stuff normal kids do. And, like, he had no reason to get his ass beat. Like, I'm sending my thoughts and prayers with him for a healthy recovery.
Oh, man. Come on. Of course you would defend the Biebs.
Yeah, man, he's a good kid. You know, people rag on him for his music. Who cares? It's, you know, it's not the style of music you like. You know, he's still a good kid.
Yeah. All right. Well, fine. Whatever.
So wait. What about Rob Thomas?
What about Rob Thomas?
Maybe that's just not the style of music you like, but he's still a good guy.
Oh, man, I love Rob Thomas. I'm always getting down with Smooth.
No, Johnny told me backstage, off the air, that you are a bona fide nemesis of Rob Thomas, or vice versa.
Man, that's so not true.
You are the Joker to his Batman.
Every day I wake up and I say, man, it's a hot one.
Oh, Cody. You and your Rob Thomas obsession. That's okay, man. You know, that happens. Sometimes people like, you know, bad music. I don't know how you could do that. What about Blink? Blink, they got a new song, Rabbit Hole. What'd you think of that?
You know, I'm gonna throw this out here. It might be an unpopular opinion. This is the best Blink has sounded since Dude Ranch.
Yeah, it was like for me, it sounded a little watered down, but like overall, like I was alright with it. You know what I mean? I was excited to hear like I want to hear the rest of the stuff that's going to be coming out that goes along with this album, just because. You know, Matt Skiba being a part of it, you know, from Alkaline Trio, you know, he's doing pretty much the lead vocals in Rabbit Hole.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been a while, and I don't know. I feel like there might actually be something to this, to the hype to the new Blink album.
Well, you know, with us being such huge Alkaline Trio fans, I'm sure maybe we're just a little bit biased.
Oh, well, of course. But even they pissed me off. You know what I mean? Like I'll tell you, as much as I love Alkaline Trio, there's a big part of me that just hates a lot of the music that they put out. They're shit, man. Their last 5 albums. You
know, we've talked about this.
Crimson?
The last one they put out is pretty okay. Like, it's no goddamn it or like From Here to Infirmary, but like it's good. It's not like their what was it, Crimson, that was god awful, and This Addiction, like those are awful. New one, pretty good.
Pretty good. So I gotta get to you on this one. So David Bowie, his longtime producer, recently suggested that Adele, her voice was manipulated. Okay. And so I guess she was talking about how basically said she can S her D, actually, yes, S her D, even though she doesn't have a D, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously the guy knows what he's talking about. She's had all these flubs, when it comes down to performing live, where all of a sudden something goes wrong, something malfunctions, and then she sounds like crap. I mean, whose back you got?
It's 2016. I think like there's a little manipulation on every part of an album now, and like it's just fine tuning. I don't know. She's obviously not using auto tune, but I don't. If she's manipulating her voice, I don't know. She should just own up to it and be like, yeah. I mean, everyone does. Like Taylor Swift does.
Yeah, that's fine. But still, Ryan Adams does her music better.
Yeah.
So, what do you got going on this weekend, Cody? Any big shows?
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch some dudes wrestle tomorrow, and then Green Fest I'm going to on Saturday and Sunday.
Hang on. You're watching some dudes wrestle tomorrow?
Yeah, AAW. It's at Bourbon Street, and what is it, Alsip, I think. Yeah, it's local independent wrestling.
Local independent. Any big names on the bill?
Jeff Jarrett and Johnny Gargano, who just got signed by WWE.
Any washed up old timers? Like guys with
actually no. AAW is different from a lot of other local Chicago promotions where they never sign like old has been wrestlers to compete. So they're getting pretty big. They're nowhere near as big as like WWE, and they never will be. But for like a small promotion, like they draw around like 700 fans every show. So
Okay.
it's pretty big.
Yeah. Pretty big. So I teased it earlier today. You know, Cody, since you do look like Cupid, we got to ask you a little bit. What's going on with your lady here?
Yeah, so Tara from Bloomington, that's over. And then yesterday, you saw my ex-girlfriend Amanda came up, and we were hanging out. She's still engaged.
Why were you hanging out? And she's still engaged. How is this guy even still engaged to her? Like, and what was the deal? Does he know like that you guys?
No, homie has no idea. He's oblivious.
Oh, that's bad. How are you gonna be that guy, Cody?
And it's just a heartbreaker, dude.
Oh my goodness.
No, I'm the one getting his heart broken. I should take that back.
That's what I'm saying. What the hell are you doing? Stay away from this devil woman.
You know, man, if it's not her, it's going to be someone else. So, why don't you just stick to what you know? And that's who I know.
You are lazy as hell. Come on, you can't like swipe left or swipe right or swipe somewhere and find something to hit or what?
On Tinder today, I had a 20-minute conversation with the girl. I thought she was real. She was quick with responses. And then so I'm talking to her for 20 minutes, and then I finally got, well, sweetie, it was nice talking to you. If you'd like to continue, here's my campsite.
I was going to say, I thought you got catfished.
Yeah.
Ever been catfished, Cody?
Let me think. I think, I got catfished in the sense where I went on a Tinder date and the girl did not look anything like her picture. But that was the only thing.
What's your best Tinder hookup story in terms of funny, probably funny, awful? Would be the route I'm going to go on this?
Let me think.
I know you always got some awesome stories.
What, Johnny?
So you always got some fantastic stories about something random that happened somewhere. There's never just a normal night out with Cody. That doesn't happen.
I guess the night where I was, kind of catfished. So, I started talking to her because she looked like a girl version of me. And I'm like, yeah, I'll bone myself. It'll be sick. So I meet up with this girl on 4th of July, and she's about, 4'3", and just really, really, really round. Nothing like her Tinder profile. But I was still nice. We went to the beach and watched fireworks, and she was super cool, but
that's it.
Nothing.
There's no gross story involved anywhere.
No, I'm sorry. This one Tinder girl was really into spitting in my face during sex. I guess that's something.
That's pretty gross. I've never been asked to do that.
Yeah.
How do you react to something like that? Somebody spit in my face during a moment. I guess I don't know. I guess if you're going to go with the flow, it might be okay.
It was pretty freaking hot. It was pretty hot. I felt like a little pig.
Was it angry spit? Was she making a really ugly face? Ugh.
Yeah.
Hopefully it wasn't no loogies involved. No lung butter.
All loogies, man.
Oh, gross, bro. You just made a bunch of people throw up. I'm surprised Keith is still with us. He didn't yank us off the air yet.
Not yet, but 2 minutes.
Oh, but 2 minutes. Well, that means, Cody, that we got just another moment here. Now, you were talking about Greenfest. You're going to Greenfest, right?
Yeah, it's a smaller fest around Wicker Park, and King Khan and the barbecue show is playing, so I'm super excited for them. They're a smaller little garage band.
Yeah, and isn't it? It's the same fest where they're green because it's all natural and environmentally healthy, safe stuff.
Yeah,
vendors and everything like that. Okay. So it's Yuppie Fest. Yuppie Palooza.
Yuppie Fest.
Yeah, that's cool. That place is probably gonna stink like patchouli and just butthole.
Yeah, it's two of my favorite songs. So.
And no one's surprised.
And what was that, Keith? I'm sorry.
No one's surprised.
Yeah. And like to be honest with you, man, I just hate hot weather. I hate I love going to festivals, but I hate, like, I guess the overall experience is always rocking, but it's the everybody's sweaty, everybody's stinky, and they bump you, and it's like you just ran into like a wet lizard of some sort, like a gecko or something. I can't handle that. I hate it when everybody's stinky and just rubbing up on me, and just I don't want to see your sweat like through your shirt. You know what I mean?
You know, I'm pretty into it, man. Like, the grimier, the better. Like, I like the people at festivals where, like, if you scrape their skin, you get, like, dirt under your fingernails.
God, you're so gross. But that sir is why we love you. And I'm gonna see you in just a moment, right? Are you gonna come back in and join me here?
I was actually gonna head out. Do you want me to join you for a moment?
Oh no, that's fine. You can head out. Leave me alone. It's fine.
No, I'll come back.
See what happens.
I'll be right there.
You think you got a friend, and you know he's gonna go and just leave me hanging here like that.
I'm coming back in.
Yeah, that's right. You are coming back in. But you know what?
All right, I'll see you in a moment, my dude.
Yeah, you're coming in, and we're going out. We got to thank some people. Like there's a guy, Joshua Greenberg. You can check him out at Last Word Jberg. That's on Twitter. You can also find him at lastwordonsports.com. He is the baseball department head over there, and you can also check out their podcast. They're doing a bunch of things. If you want to know anything about the MLB draft, they go through pretty extensively and break down just about every team. And kind of give you a good idea, because you get a lot of these high school guys, a lot of college guys, you don't know too much about, but you can find it all right there at lastwordonsports.com. We got to thank our guy, Keith Grieve, our fantastic producer, and putting up with us. Man, we love you, brother.
I'm pretty fond of you, too.
Oh, that's good. And I'm glad that you managed to stay awake for us this evening. I know you're poop-derilla, but you do what you got to do. But we got to thank everybody for calling, texting, tweeting, all that fun stuff. You can check us out and give us a listen on Spreaker, on iTunes, and Stitcher. Also, be sure to like that Johnnie Bobbo Show Facebook page. We can get all the updates there, all the really sweet-ass pictures and links. And we keep you tuned in with not only everything sports, we also tune in a little bit of entertainment there with, new movies, new music, all that fun stuff. So be sure to check it out. And I'm Johnny Malors Jr. Bob Sullivan, he's not here. He'll be back next week, so we'll have Bob on next week. Good chance we'll have Mike Farron on next week, and potentially we might bring on an NBA guest to break down the finals here to see how this goes. So check us out next week, Johnnie Bobbo Show. So thank you all very much, and be good.